Talk about a little survival school, a little survival camp. We're going to talk about the maze of madness and how do we actually begin to find our way out of the confusion we find ourselves in business, in marketing. This even applies to life. So here's what I've noticed in my life is there are obviously moments and seasons in life of confusion, frustration, anger, and all of this leads to a kind of, we just call it madness, right? There's this madness about it all, insanity to it all, and that leads to some misery in it all, right? Like, it can be a miserable experience as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You have to figure out how to generate leads. You've got to figure out how to keep serving clients. You've got to pay your taxes. You've got to budget. You got to do all the stuff. And it can be very overwhelming, especially when you are stuck in the maze of madness. So there's something about that metaphor I really like, because a maze can really turn you upside down, right? You don't know, you take a left turn, you take a right turn, and you don't know where you are. And not only do you not know where you are, you don't know how to get back to where you started, and you sure as heck don't know how to get out of this maze. That's what makes it a maze, right? So, this is where most people find themselves in the conversation of marketing. I don't know if I should do Facebook. I don't know if I should do Instagram. I don't know what to say. Should I do a 60-second video? Should I do a 20-minute video? Should I make a podcast? And you take left turns and right turns inside that madness, and you don't know where to go. This is what creates the misery for you in marketing, right? So, how do we get out of here? Well, what most of us do is we say, I'm tired of this. I'm going to set a goal. So let's just use December as the example, because it's a great goal setting time. You're like, well, this next year is going to be different. I'm going to set a goal. And for a moment in setting the goal, you feel some relief from the madness because you have a moment of clarity, right? But the clarity isn't about where you are in the maze of madness. The clarity is about where you want to go. You're like, this is what I want. Perfect. Congratulations. And now you come back to today and this day of your life, and you realize that you actually don't know how to get there because you're still in the maze of madness. So it's okay to set a goal. It's okay to create a vision board. It's okay to say, this is what I want. But if you don't know where you are, then you have no chance of getting there. And this is the karmic loop. We find ourselves going around and around and around. Every year, the same, right? Different, maybe it's different goals. Maybe it's different tools you bought. Maybe it's a different coach you hired. Maybe it's something different you're trying to do to affect change. But the problem is you can't affect change because you don't know where you are. So here's where here's the analogy I want you to think of for how we begin to change this experience. Okay? We've already established the reason you are experiencing madness and misery is because you're stuck in the maze of madness. Like, you don't know what's going on. So if I were to drop you into the jungle, right? Or let's just say I dropped you somewhere. I didn't even tell you where I dropped you. I dropped you somewhere, and it was foggy and hazy, and it was hot, and you didn't know where you were. When you say, I need to get home, okay? And you know where you live where you live. That's your address. Like, you need to get home, but you don't know where you are. So guess what? You don't know how to get there. You don't know if you should go left, right, north, south, east, what? You don't know. You don't know because you don't know where you are. You're not oriented to what is so. You're not oriented to the facts of where you are. So you could be wherever I dropped you and say, well, my goal is to go home. And then you could try all kinds of ways to get home. But if you don't know where you are, right? So in other words, what that can look like, let's use another example here. You're in this hot, foggy place and you start to get tools, right? You buy a hammer, maybe you buy a backpack, you buy some tools and equipment. But you don't know if that tool or equipment is going to help you get out of the terrain I dropped you in. See, some of you in marketing are buying tools that you have no right buying because they have no relevancy to where you're actually stuck. You're buying things hoping that they fix the problem you're in without understanding where you actually are.